Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of An Octave Higher. So we left off at a really interesting spot where there was a massive magic battle that was apparently a tournament. And, well, it was pretty interesting. He definitely lost, but underneath the rules of the battle, he won. But it doesn't really feel like a win. So let's see what happens next, shall we? Wind day 24 Sextilis AM 313. No idea what any of that means. Good afternoon, Professor. Good afternoon, class. The students are googling. The students are goggling at me, probably wondering why their teacher looks awfully young and is wearing the same school uniform as them. Your teacher for this course is Professor Johann Poe. I am not, however, Professor Johann Poe. My name is Franz Byron. I'm a senior, and Professor Poe is the advisor for my capstone project. I was asked to stand in for the professor today during his absence. I think it's best not to mention that this is the first time I've ever taught a class. I told the professor as much in protest, but he said I could just say whatever I want to say about magic. Okay, that's really convincing, and probably a really bad idea, but Well, let's see how this goes. Welcome to Introduction to Magical Science. It sounds harmless enough, right? Well, maybe so, but by the end of the semester you will have encountered almost every topic that you will be studying in detail over the next 4 years. So you should probably open your notebooks. As half the freshmen scramble for pen and paper, I wonder what kind of student my professors thought I would become. Oh, I get it. Oh my god. That sentence didn't process properly. Never mind, I was wrong. Let's move on. These days I'm regarded as being very analytical, but how much of that was due to my own effort, and how much was due to the gauntlet that is Introduction to Magical Suffering, as we used to call it. Just think, 3 months ago these freshmen were still middle school students, oblivious to the woes and worries of the world. 4 short years ago I was the same as them. Well, they knew what they were getting themselves into when they decided to study the science of magic in a conservatoire. The class has finally quieted down. It's time to start my first lesson. So, magic. I'm sure everyone here has used it before. As long as you have a bit of mana in you, you can use magic. You in the front row. I chose a girl at random. So when was the first time you cast a spell? I think when I was 7. I touched the wick of a candle and it started burning. Congratulations, you're normal. Some freshmen are giggling even though I wasn't actually trying to be funny. Most people unconsciously start using magic as a child and learn to control it as they grow up. But although you can use magic now, you probably don't know how you're able to do that. Or why some of you are good with fire magic while some others are better with water magic. Or why you can sometimes cast a particular spell but have no idea how to do it again. Well, what we call the science of magic is kind of the roadmap that we've made that will help you better understand these things. I stop and observe the freshmen. They seem interested enough in the subject. Well, maybe. Now that I'm up here, it really is hard to tell who's genuinely interested and who's staring right through me. As you all know, there are 5 magical traits that a human can have. These are courage, intelligence, willpower, faith, and compassion. Which we kind of saw examples of in that magic fight, I guess, because it was putting these names beside stuff, and they did mean something. Like, courage is fire, I guess, and faith is wind, and willpower was earth, and compassion is healing, and intelligence, I think, was water. Something like that. Any magic is based on one or a combination of these traits. For example, water magic is based on intelligence. Okay, so I guess I had them all in the right order, I think. In addition, there are 4 types of magical abilities that can act on those 5 traits. They are Summon, Amplify, Nullify, and Transform, which we saw all 3 of those presented in that magic fight. So I guess what we're getting right now is an introduction as to how everything in this game works when it comes to magic, and getting a lot of backstory on the world, which is pretty neat because I like where this is going. Don't confuse magical traits with magical abilities. Remember, the abilities use the traits. The act of applying a magical ability is called an invocation. Let's return to our water magic example. The most basic water magic is, of course, to make water appear. Whether you want to attack an enemy or to water your houseplants, the principle is the same. The water spell is cast by invoking the summon ability on the intelligence trait. I pick up a piece of chalk and write a magic formula on the blackboard. Oh, it's cool! It pops up so that we can see it, so that we're like students! Ah! I like this. This is what we call a magic formula, and this one defines the formula of our simple water spell. You read that as invoke the summon ability using the power of intelligence. Oh, you read that as invoke the summon ability using the power of intelligence. Which is obvious. I face the freshman again. It's really one of the simplest magic formulae. Formulae? Okay. It only requires one invocation. Summon is the most basic of magical abilities. If a magic spell makes any kind of physical matter appear or materialize, it almost certainly involves summon. Excuse me. Fire is summon on courage, wind is summon on faith. Don't worry, you'll have these memorized by next week. And then there's amplify, which is used to increase some aspect of your magic, to make it stronger, faster, larger. For example, a magician can increase the force of gravity by invoking amplify on willpower, which is what we saw in that magic fight. Or, for example, a more common use of amplify is to strengthen a summon spell. I write a new formula below the water formula. Flood equals amplify. Essentially, flood is the stronger version of water. So it goes amplify, summon, intelligence. Okay. So say you invoke summon on intelligence. If, before you release the magic from your hand, you invoke amplify on top of it, you will cast flood instead of water. Well, I'm sure all this sounds simple, but in practice, chaining two different abilities together like this is considered a high-level technique. The girl I spoke to earlier raises her hand. I've always assumed that the stronger version of water is ice. A common misconception, ice is in fact a much more complex magic spell. It's something we call combination magic, or combo magic, because it involves more than one trait. To cast ice, you have to combine water, which is based on intelligence, and freeze, which is based on courage. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be based on faith or something. I'm way off. I erase the blackboard and write the magic formula of ice. As you can see from the formula, there are two invocations that are combined to cast the spell. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, and nullify is just the opposite of amplify, if you were wondering. It makes something become less. Some of the freshmen look confused. Well, guys, no pain, no gain. If this formula looks complicated, take a look at this. If you wanted to make your ice spell even stronger, where it's an ice storm, you amplify ice, then you have amplify with summon intelligence plus nullify courage. Oh my god, that is complex. Or if ice storm wasn't good enough for you, there's always blizzard. Oh boy. The freshmen look grim as I put down the chalk. Some of them might be having second thoughts about taking magical science as their major. Don't panic, it's really not that complicated once you understand the basics. The sound of the bell has an effect on the freshmen akin to a revive spell. That's not too far off the mark. Come to think of it, the sound of the bell is produced by a magic machine that summons wind to ring a small bell and then amplifies the resulting sound wave. Oh, that's right, I didn't even mention magic machines. The study of magic machines belongs to the magical engineering department, but as magical scientists are expected to understand the basic principles of their design and function. Well, I'll leave that to Professor Poe, assuming he doesn't make me do this again. I follow the freshmen out of the classroom. I'm as happy as they are that the lesson's ended. I'm really not cut out for teaching, I think. I know that Professor Poe is busy preparing for the symposium tomorrow, but how could he just push this job to me? What did he see in me? Speaking of the symposium, I remember that I have my own preparations to make. Professor Poe wants me to discuss the research that I'm doing for my final year project. My project. It's hopeless if you ask me. But tomorrow I need to sell the idea to a room full of professionals. The annual symposium held in Conservatoire de Ouverture is not a mere school event. Even though it takes place in a conservatoire, it will be attended by many renowned mages from across Ouverture. I am terrible at French, if you couldn't already tell. So I hope to God that I'm not butchering it, but I know I am. Like, I'm pretty sure I am. After all, this is the most prestigious school of magical science and engineering in the city. I don't know what people will think when they see a teenager presenting a school project in a symposium. I mean, I haven't even started the project yet. I stride down the hallway towards the main entrance, paying little attention to the dwindling masses of students. It really is a beautiful institution. In a few hours, these halls will be entirely empty. At such times, you would be hard-pressed to identify this place as a school. The conservatoire is as excellent as a lord's mansion. I recognize some of my classmates in the hallway, but I'm not close enough with any of them to bother with greetings and such niceties. Well, that's hardly surprising. We're just strangers who happen to be sharing the same road in life. After this year, we'll go our separate ways. Hey, friends! Well, here comes an outlier. I turn in the direction of the cheerful female voice. Oh my goodness. Friends, where have you been? I thought you didn't have classes in the afternoon today. I know I said that I'm not close to most students here, but there are exceptions. Hi, Aretha. Have you been looking for me? This is Aretha Blyton. Yes, friends, I've been looking everywhere for you. I was dying to see you. She is not my girlfriend. Don't worry, love, I'm here for you now. I repeat, not my girlfriend. So, where have you been? Around. Where have you been looking? The cafeteria. And? Just the cafeteria. You were just having your afternoon tea. Bingo! You know me so well, don't you? I just gave her the stupidest laugh ever, oh my god. You're just easy to read. Oh my god, that laugh is fun. Oh my god, and he's describing the laugh and it's not going to be anything like what I just did. Oh my god. Aretha has this particular way of laughing her heart out that's just pleasant to watch. It makes you want to laugh along with her. I don't know if that's the case with how I did it, but okay. We start walking. I was teaching a class. Professor Poe asked me to fill in for him. Whoa, cool. It's really not that exciting. Are you sure? I bet you are checking out the girls. Was I? I might have. The class did have its fair share of cuties. Like how... Like, one minute he's just this, like, scholar who, like, has no interest in anybody other than his studies. And then now it's like, oh, well, maybe I guess I was, like, just a little bit, like, I guess there were a few cute girls, like, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention, but there was, like, a few, so, It's just like, okay, cool. I'm not a pervert like you, Aretha. Uh-huh, but you thought some of them were cute, didn't you? Am I blushing? Maybe she is not the one who is... Bleh, what the fuck? Maybe she is not the only one who is easy to read. There we go, I nailed it. It's almost sundown when we leave the conservatoire building. There are more people outside than inside, most of whom are getting ready to go home. While we're walking toward the street outside the conservatoire graveyard... Courtyard, not graveyard. Whoopsie-daisy. Oh dear. That would be quite a problem if a school this prestigious had a graveyard. Oh boy. A girl I don't recognize notices us and waves. She's wearing the same uniform as Aretha, which means she's a magical engineering student. Must be one of Aretha's friends. Hey! Aretha greets the girl. Hi, Aretha! Going home? Nah, Francis is talking... Whoa, okay, what? I can't... Okay. Nah, Francis is taking me out on a date. Aretha makes wild gestures to suggest how romantic this all is. I was? Aretha drops her facade in a hurry. Actually, yes, I'm going home. Oh gods, are you kidding me? The girl chuckles at Aretha's little joke and they start chatting. Aretha certainly has social skills. She's the kind of person who can make friends naturally with almost anyone. Sometimes I wish I could too, but then again. Okay, bye then. See you tomorrow, Aretha. The girl turns to me. Bye, friends. Bye. The girl walks away after saying her goodbyes. Do I know her? I ask Aretha. Maybe? Wouldn't you remember someone you've met? Not at all. I often meet people whom I don't know, but who seem to know me. This is why you don't have many friends. Well, maybe she knows you because you're famous. Am I famous? Aren't you the top student in the Department of Magical Science? There is no denying that my intelligence has helped me earn good grades. I may or may not have been named that at one time. These days, though, it's more likely that Professor Poe's in my research project that's causing a buzz. Outside the conservatoire, the street is crowded with people who have just finished work and are jostling to go home. Aretha and I cross the street to a crowded omnibus stop. We get in line behind a dozen other people. Aretha stands in front of me. Isn't the line a little... Oh, this is Friends. Never mind. Isn't the line a little too long? She turns back to face me. Can't be helped, it's rush hour. Across the street, just outside the conservatoire, I see a student picked up by a personal chauffeur in a carriage. He gets into the carriage and plops down in the back seat while the driver sits in front. Excuse me. Once he's comfortable, his driver uses faith magic to manipulate the wind around the vehicle. The carriage floats into the air and presumably off to home. I want my own carriage, too. I give Aretha a look that says, who doesn't? Oh, Franz, you're gifted in faith, aren't you? Yes, but I don't own a carriage. At least you'll be able to fly one of those one day. Oh, I know. When I get a carriage, you'll drive me around, okay? Anything to make you happy, my dear. Then you'll buy me a carriage? You know what, though? I guess I should just look for a girlfriend rich enough to have her own carriage. Aretha tries to fake a sulky pout, but the corners of her lips are slightly raised. A different kind of carriage whizzes by, and at its back sit a man and a woman, while the driver again sits in front. Unlike the previous carriage, however, in this one the driver isn't controlling air movement directly. Instead, he simply places his hand on a metal pad. You could always get one of those magic machine carriages. There's that option too. You don't need to be gifted in faith to drive that kind of carriage because the magic machine will do the summoning. But I'd still rather make you my driver. She says that with a wide grin. A few seconds pass and another carriage flies along the street, and then another. More people come and stand behind me. It's hot and stuffy in this crowd, even though we're outside. At last we see an omnibus turn a corner and head our way. Aw, this is cool. Its flying platform is designed to carry 36 passengers at most, but it's packed to the brim. There's no chance that we'd fit on there. I told you it'd be crowded. I told you this is normal, Franz. Rush hour. Aretha is right. At this hour, the omnibus is always full of proles. The proletariat... The what now? The proletariat. The proletariat. Okay. Coming home from the factory. I don't feel like standing here. Let's just go. You're very snobby for someone who can't afford a carriage. I have nothing against proles. I just don't find the idea of standing on a bus platform with more than 46 other people terribly exciting. You have the attitude of an aristocrat. I don't know whether it's good or bad. Fake it till you make it, right? Are we switching to the factory worker from their perspective? Because I know that that's a character and I'm really excited to do that because they're a girl. Anyhow, we head in the direction of an aristocrat neighborhood. The proles don't commute through that area, so the omnibus won't be as crowded. I look up and see that dimming orange of the western sky. The sun is just now set. As the city darkens, a man in a uniform walks to a nearby pole on the sidewalk. When he gets there, he raises his hand and points to the top of the pole. A ball of amber light appears and hovers a few inches above the pole, illuminating its surrounding area. So it goes across Overture every night. That worker is one of the illuminators employed by the government to brighten the city streets. If you catch the right omnibus at rush hour, you can see the results of hundreds of these illuminators' efforts. Overture slowly starts to tinkle as you glide over the sky. Twinkle. The city's modern look and its clean, almost shiny, multicolored buildings and brick-paved streets are teeming with flying carriages. There are magicians everywhere, and magic machines are installed on every street corner. Overture is glorious, not just a city of magic, the city of magic. It's getting late. We should walk faster. Aretha pulls out her chronometer and checks the time. The air inside the chronometer is continuously in motion to keep the minute hand and the waiter hour hand rotating. These hands stay accurate all day as long as the chronometer is charged with mana every morning. She puts the metal timepiece back inside her pocket. So since you're in magical engineering, I guess your final year project is related to magic machines? Aretha's eyes seem to sparkle at the mention of a final project. Of course, I already have a title for it. Application of binary logic and arithmetic in magic machines. What? Application of binary logic and arithmetic in magic machines. She recited the title in a single breath. Yeah, I heard you the first time, but what the heck is that? You don't understand? I thought you were the smart one. I understand the words, but to me that sounds like you're trying to get a magic machine to do math. Bingo! You're the first person to guess it right away, friends. Aretha is beaming. Apparently she's proud of this idea. Aretha, that's preposterous. It is not, and look who's talking! Aretha is right to call me out. The topic Professor Poe convinced me to undertake is even sillier than magic math. I guess we are in the same boat, sort of. So which professor forced you into this? Oh, no, you misunderstand. I chose that topic myself. Three friends is just like, what the fuck, Aretha? Like, shit, what is your problem? Aretha, we are truly star-crossed. You've committed the academic equivalent of a suicide by choosing your hopeless topic, whereas I'm about to be murdered by mine. We'll be factory workers within a year. Squinting away my smartassery, Aretha continues. It's really not impossible. The magic key word, ahem, here is binary. So we're used to doing numerical calculations in groups of 10. We have 10 fingers and 10 toes, right? This is called a base 10 numeral system. But actually, there's no rule that says you must use base 10. For example, there is something else called a base 2 numerical system. It turns out that we can mathematically define simple arithmetic operations such as the addition of two binary numbers as combinations of basic logical operations like and, or, and not. In order to succeed with my final project, all I have to do is figure out how to implement these basic logical operations within this magic machine. I think I'll be able to do that by manipulating the flow of the fire and water. If I can make fire represent a true value and water represent a false value, then I have two values, a binary system. You do realize I'm a magical scientist, right? We don't think in numbers. Listen, friends, what I'm saying is I may be able to make a calculator machine powered by magic. That sentence doesn't make sense. That's okay. You'll come to understand my genius someday. I don't tell her this, but if Aretha is confident about her project, it's probably going to be a success. It's easy to forget because of what a whimsical character she is, but Aretha is a very intelligent person. And when she puts her mind on something, she has the willpower to see it through to the end. I guess that's a hint as to what her top two traits are. Well, if she can make magic do math, then maybe I don't need to worry too much about my own impossible project. Finally, we reach the omnibus stop. My water's way on the other end of the room. I was just about to take a drink, and it's all the way on the other end of the room. 1 second. I gotta get this. Oh, and my glass is empty. Well, shit. I guess I won't get water until later. Actually, no, I'm gonna get it right now. What am I talking about? 1 sec. Before long, an omnibus arrives. As I thought, it's nearly empty. This one is heading towards my house. Aretha and I normally go home on the same omnibus, but the buses at this stop travel different routes, so we need to part ways here. Well, take care. Say hello to Dr. Blyton for me. Will do. See you tomorrow. She waves me goodbye before stepping onto the omnibus. As her omnibus pulls away, I take a deep breath and look around. This neighborhood is slightly nicer than my own. It would be nice to own a house in a place like this someday. The young man rounds a corner off in the distance. Even from here I can see that he's dressed magnificently, but the only reason I notice him is from his stride. He looks angry. Oh, hey! It's the guy who technically lost the battle, but won because of the rules that we encountered earlier. It's quite unusual to see a man of such high social standing walking alone on the street. Usually they don't bother to walk anywhere since they have their own chauffeurs. His strides are long and fast. He's virtually stomping down the street and his face is a long scowl. It would be wise to avoid his attention, I think. Just scampers off. I must have been walking for more than an hour now, but no matter how far I've gone, I still can't calm down. My fingers ache from being clenched into fists for so long. My palms sting from where my nails have dug into them. Relax, Frederick, relax. It was just a stupid sorcerer match. Oh, hey, we switched perspectives. Okay. It wasn't a regulation match. You technically won. The only thing that's bothering you is that your father didn't see it as a victory the way that the rest of the whole city did. Doesn't matter what he thinks. Right. It does not matter. I'm still the best sorcerer there is. I'm the highest ranked player in a generation. I faced off against a trained soldier and won, by the way. If father could have just held his tongue. I don't mind advice, but to call it a loss of all things. It was just a stupid sorcerer match. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not. Like hell it doesn't! I am going to bury that whore next time. Janice Wolfe, mark my words, woman, I will remember you. I will not forget this insult. Humiliation! For you! Not for me. And that meteor spell! Ah, of course I would have flattened her with meteor if I could have ever studied the technique, but that it weren't banned by regulation. Rules, woman, it was a sorcerer match. What was a commander of a goddamn special forces unit doing in a sorcerer match? Father did this to spite me, I know it. I thought I would make him happy by performing for his birthday celebration, but apparently he only wanted to humiliate me for his own entertainment. The pavement under my feet is sticky. The ball of light above that pole glares too much. The sound of music coming from the cafe across the street is off-key. That Anubis pulled up to the stop too steeply, and that conservatoire student getting on the Anubis looks like a blithering idiot. What the hell is with it with all these damn people pissing me off? I just keep going wherever my feet take me. Occasionally people stare at me, but I manage to ignore them. What? Have they never seen a lord before? But I stop. Something occurs to me. What, that you're surrounded by poverty and you're the only rich person in the street? I try to take in my surroundings, but there's barely anything to take in. I'm practically standing on dirt. The ground grinds beneath my feet. I can feel it when I walk. There are no balls of light that illuminate this alley. If it wasn't for the oil lamps hung widely apart on the wall, the area would be utterly dark. There are no flying carriages. There are no omnibuses. The street is silent. Only little murmurs from people nearby can be faintly heard. The people around me are wearing clothes that aren't fit for modern civilization. I'm not an overture anymore. At least not the overture that I know. Something feels wrong here. I should turn around and go back to the city, back to my father's mansion. But I don't turn back. Frederick Godwin doesn't turn back for anything. I start walking again, now more conscious of where I'm going. I am, after all, treading on foreign land. Wherever I walk, people's heads turn. No doubt they have never seen a lord before up close. A little boy tries to approach me, but his mother quickly stops him. They're both dressed in little more than rags. Finally, I understand what that feeling of wrongness was. It wasn't the filth or the darkness, it was something much more fundamental than that. There's no magic here. None of these people use magic. There are no magic machines in sight. What's going on here? I've never felt so out of place before. Look, it's an aristocrat! Though there are people murmuring all around, this comment was said loud enough for me to hear. It was intentional. I stop and turn. Oh, it was a man, not a little child. Whoopsie! The man who just spoke is dressed somewhat differently from the others. I wouldn't say he's dressed better than anyone else, but somehow he stands out. He's wearing a uniform of some kind. Another man in a similar outfit stands beside him, watching me. The two men come nearer to me. The man speaks again. Hey kid, what are you doing in this place? Are you lost? I look down at the man. Who is he to question me? Gutsy bourgeois. Hasn't anyone told you not to wander into proles areas? Haven't you ever heard of Libertad? They don't like bourgeoisies like you. Proles? Ah, I see, of course. So this is where the proletariat... I can't say that! Jesus! Proletariat lives. No wonder there is no magic. It's not that they can't use magic, they just don't have the money to buy mana potions. Everyone knows that the proles are the dregs of society. But he mentioned something called Libertad. I have not heard of that group. He said Libertad hates people like me. Are you Libertad? This time they're the ones who stay quiet, but I can tell that the answer is yes. So they hate me? Well then, I'll hate them too. I started infusing willpower to the mana in my body and expel as much magical aura as the mana regenerates. All of a sudden, I'm the brightest thing on the street. Let that be a warning for them. The man who talked to me seems ready to fight, but the other Libertad member speaks to him in a low voice. Not here. There are people everywhere. Heeding his friend's words, the first man relaxes his posture, though his glare remains fierce. Understood. He walks away, clicking his tongue. The second man tries to stare me down for a second. His eyes seem to carry higher authority than the first man's, but then he too turns around and follows his friend. I watch the two of them head into an alley. Soon they're enveloped in the shadows of the close-packed buildings and I can't see them anymore. Ignoring the prole's increasingly audible whispers, I continue walking along the dimly lit street. Before my encounter with Libertad, the proles were looking at me curiously. Now they turn their heads away or cast their eyes down whenever I walk near. I try not to look at them either, keeping my eyes on the path ahead. I'm not afraid of anyone, but I also don't want to cause a scene needlessly. After a few blocks, I come across a narrow space between two buildings. It's only wide enough for one person to walk through, and it's almost completely black in there. However, there is light coming from the far end of the alley. With it comes the sound of people laughing and singing. I come closer and see an arrow-shaped sign pointing into the alley. It reads, Maison de Beauvieux. I butchered that, oh fuck. Since I don't see anything more interesting around, I enter the alley and look for this mason. Not only is the alley dark, it also stinks. It's hard to believe that there's a place like this in Overture, mere miles away from where my family lives. I stumble over an old man sleeping in the alley. He is virtually cocooned in rags and trash and rattles off some bewildered moans as I walk over him. How anyone could sleep at as filthy a place as here, I will never know. Well, when you're desperate, you really got nothing else, you'll sleep anywhere. I quicken my pace. I didn't think the poor were quite so destitute. They're called poor for a reason, like... Seriously? Outside the alley, I see a mansion that looks quite out of place amidst the dirty and broken houses. There are signs of wear and tear, but it still looks luxurious in comparison. To my surprise, I see a group of gentlemen who obviously aren't proles entering the establishment. They might even be my fellow lords, judging from how they're dressed. Once they're at the front door, a scantily clad, middle-aged woman emerges from inside the mansion and greets them. Despite showing too much skin, the woman's dress is that of a lady. That's a prostitute house! I hope you know that, boy. That is a house where prostitutes reside. And rich people like you go and pay for sexual favors. This is like the red light district. Right here. Yep. She talks with the gentleman for a few seconds and gestures them inside. As she goes to follow them inside, however, she notices my presence. She approaches me with a seductive smile. I'm disgusted by it, to be honest. Makeup is caked on her face to hide her years, but even in the dim light of the courtyard, I can see she's old enough to be my mother. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Why, hello there, young man. I welcome you to my home, the Maison de Beauvieux. This is your house? Yes, and you may call me Madame Beauvieux. She says this with a flourish. I can't tell if she's a drunken flourish. I can't tell if it's a drunken flourish or one of those flourishes you have to practice at. I wanted to say nice to meet you, but it's only really nice if... She brings her lips close to my ears and lowers her voice to a whisper. You come inside. She pulls her face back after blowing softly into my ears. It makes my eyebrows twitch and my nose wrinkle. What is this place? Oh, boy. You don't know what a fucking whorehouse is, boy? How old are you? Then again, you live with your dad, so... What do you mean, darling? The woman is stunned for a moment, then she starts laughing. Are you for true? How did you get to here, little boy? She stops laughing, stares at me sharply, and whispers again in a broken but not unpleasant accent. You want to know what kind of place is my house, do you know? I don't answer her because I feel like she's mocking me. Besides, I'm starting to get an idea. It's where we turn little boys like you into a real man. Yep, whorehouse. Fucking called it. She gestures at me with her shoulders and flashes a naughty smile. Some people might call it sexy. I wouldn't. So, you want to come in? No, not interested. I try to leave, but the madame grabs my wrist. Oh no, you haven't even come in and seen the other girls. Don't worry, little lord, I have all kinds of girls in my mansion. Some of them will suit your high taste, I promise. She's a very insistent saleswoman. I've got to admit that it's rather tempting to just go in and, look around. But no. After tonight, I need to be more disciplined, not less. I'm not going to spend any time with these filthy whores. Besides, the gentlemen I saw earlier looked like they might be lords. If my father should hear about my being here, he would put me in a cemetery in the neighboring kingdom in a heartbeat. Seminary. Not cemetery. No! Now get your hand off me, woman! Well, that's too bad. But why don't you take this? She hands me a tiny piece of paper. So you can find your way back here someday, huh? She saunters back to the door before going inside. She turns and blows me a kiss. I deigned to wave back. The kiss was disgusting, to be honest. After she's gone, I just stand staring at the mason. The street outside is brightened by the light seeping out of the mason's windows and made lively by the sound of women coming from inside. There's laughing, shouting, moaning. The mason's address is scribbled on the paper the woman gave me. I won't ever come back here, but I put the paper inside my pocket anyway. This town can't afford to be even dirtier than it already is. Well, at least you're not a litter bug and you're not a complete pervert. The sky is black now. The moon and the stars aren't visible from where I'm standing. There is only blackness. Strange enough, there is a certain grandness one can feel from the pure blackness. It looks majestic. Not magnificent, majestic. Both are pretty much the same. The dark sky reminds me how late it is. It's time I went home. Just as I turn away to leave, however, my eyes fall on an angel. Ah, it is the factory worker! A very lovely girl strolls through this unseemly street as if it were the most natural thing in the world. She smiles with ease that makes her seem brighter than all the lights in Mason. Her delicate hand plays lightly with the small braid of hair running behind her right ear. Is this girl also a worker at Mason? Isn't she a little young? Besides, she isn't dressed like a harlot. But there are no other reasons for a young girl to visit a place like this. Maybe she's just passing through? I keep watching the little angel, how she steps, how her arms swing so carefree, how her hair flutters as she walks, how her face glitters with an easy happiness even in this slum. She's beautiful. No, what's more than that, I've beheld beauty itself. Finally, she stops right at Mason's door. Without knocking, she takes the door's handle, pushes the door open, and steps inside. He goes in. Or he goes away. I don't know. I really can't tell. But I thought she was supposed to be a factory worker, so now I'm confused. But I'm gonna leave it off here because I think we're switching perspectives. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out what she really is in the next episode. See ya, guys. Hey guys, and that was an octave higher. If you're interested in checking out the next episode, then just click on the icon on the right-hand side. If you're interested in any of the other games that I have listed here that have very similar storylines that are pretty intricate, I would say to check them out as well. And if you want to subscribe, just click my icon and we're good to go. So yeah, see you later.